welcome. The day has finally arrived. Today, we're reviewing a Fatbike, the Ape Rider DC20. The DC20 is one of the more budget-friendly models from Ape Rider, which is a subsidiary of the MJ Group. This group owns various brands, including RKS, who produce these sturdy, scooter-esque fat bikes. Although RKS also manufactures fat bikes that resemble electric bicycles. This particular model isn't exactly a typical electric bike design. It's a fat bike. It offers a comfortable seat and an enjoyable ride. However, if you want to cycle, you'll need to pedal, albeit lightly. The DC20 features a rear wheel motor that's sufficiently powerful but lacks a power sensor to provide a cycling feeling. Not that that's really needed on a fat bike. Moving on to the design, let's dissect the frame. The DC20 flaunts a cool motorbike style look. The oversized thick suspension effectively absorbs shocks. This is a spring mechanism, meaning while it does provide suspension, it isn't an air compressor that cushions you flawlessly. That said, the spring does reasonably well. You'll experience some slight bouncing, but the comfort level remains high. It doesn't have front suspension. It might look like it does, but it doesn't. It doesn't compromise riding comfort. The frame, suspension, and fat tires do most of the work, but should you spot a pothole on the road, it's wise to steer around it or lift some weight off the handlebar to reduce the impact. The frame is constructed from an aluminum alloy, implying it's primarily aluminum, but includes other metals at specific points to enhance strength and rigidity. The load capacity is 150 kilograms, on par with other electric bikes. That said, the DC20 isn't built to carry a passenger. There's no direct support to the rear wheel. The frame suspension carries the weight of the saddle, which is fine for one rider, but not recommended for two, so although it seems possible for the bike's longevity, we recommend against it. The handlebar position can be changed, albeit not easily. Just unscrew a few bolts with an Allen key and you can shift it forward or backward to modify your sitting position. Unfortunately, you can't change the height of the handlebar or saddle. There are no options for this. In addition, note that if you're shorter than 1.70 m, which is about 5'8", the DC20 design might not be suitable for you. Simple as that. For reference, I'm around 1.76 m. For me, this height is perfect. I can stand comfortably. Anyone who's shorter might find it hard placing a foot on the ground while standing still. As for the battery, it's expected to last for about 50 to 80 kilometers, depending on your riding style. If you're continuously using the motor on higher setting, you're looking at roughly 30 kilometers of support. The battery is discreetly stored underneath the saddle and can be removed. There's also a charging port right here, into which you simply plug the charging cable. The removal process is relatively simple. A key to unlock and pull. The battery weighs about 4.5 kilos. A small power display is present to see the remaining charge. On the other side we find the charging port and an on and off switch to protect the bike against theft. This prevents others from simply turning it on and driving off. In the rear wheel we find the most vital component of the bike, although the rest is necessary for riding of course, but it's the rear wheel that propels you forward. The bike weighs approximately 37 kilos, quite heavy, meaning you always need that motor. Hence the battery is sufficiently large to support it. The RKS motor is restricted to 250 watts in Europe, although it can occasionally peak higher, which is completely lawful. For instance, in the United States, the same motor is utilized up to 750 watts. This equates to considerable power, capped only by European restrictions, but that power is always discernible. When faced with uphill climbs and a decent run-up, hitting 20 kilometers an hour is quite feasible. However, beginning uphill without a run-up, it'll be limited to around 15 to 18 kilometers an hour. Powering it on is straightforward. Hold down a button and the headlight and display switch on. You can slightly tweak the headlight, easily adjusting its angle upwards or downwards. You also have a high beam function for riding at night, providing you with sufficient lighting to spot the potholes, even in complete darkness. It's important to ensure it's focused enough on the ground to avoid blinding approaching traffic. When you brake, there's also a taillight feature that alerts drivers behind you when you are decelerating. When you mention Fatbike, you're referring to thick tires. This is the distinguishing character of a Fatbike. To qualify as Fatbike, the tires have to be wider than 4 inches, which is exactly the case here. Straight away you notice its slick design, making it more of a street bike than one with rugged knobbed tires. Honestly, of all the Fatbike's tires I've tested, this is my favorite. It offers the most scooter-like experience, and frankly, the slick tires make a big difference in terms of acceleration. For instance, the Ape Rider MD10 with the same motor operates slower purely due to the different tires. All information is exhibited on the display. On your left hand there are the up and down buttons and the M button to power on and off. The pass setting refers to the levels of electric support. Mode 1 allows you to reach up to about 12 kilometers an hour. Mode 2 up to around 15 to 16 and so on until the 5th and highest setting, which propels you to 25 kilometers an hour. The battery indicator displays the remaining battery capacity, albeit not very accurately, as it fluctuates based on how hard you're pedaling and which mode you're in. That concludes this review of the Ape Rider DC20. This is an incredibly cost-effective fat bike. For 1,600 euros it's yours. Keep in mind you have slightly cheaper components, predominantly the motor and battery, but in fat bikes it's considered more acceptable. This category of e-bikes resemble mopeds. Pedaling is not the main priority. An added benefit is that the motor is also inexpensive to replace. If any issues arise, order a new one online, swap the rear tire, and the problem is resolved. I really enjoyed the test rides. The motor or lack of sensors was never an issue. It reminds me of the scooter and mopeds we had as teenagers. In essence, these fat bikes are the perfect successors to that segment. And so that's that. Hope you enjoyed the review and learned more about this Ape Rider DC20. Like and subscribe to stay up to date.